Discipline is the difference. Why most people never win. Written and published by Echotales. Introduction. Discipline is the difference. Discipline is not exciting. It is not loud, but it decides who wins and who never does. Most people believe success comes from talent, luck, or motivation. They believe the right opportunity will change everything. They wait for confidence to appear. They wait for perfect timing. It never comes. This book was written for one clear reason: to explain why most people never win, and to show you the one difference that separates those who do. That difference is discipline. Discipline is the ability to act without negotiation. It is doing what needs to be done, even when the mind resists. It is choosing progress over comfort and action over excuses. Winning does not happen by accident. It happens through repeated, disciplined behavior. Small actions done daily, without applause. This audiobook will not motivate you for a moment. It will train you for a lifetime. You will learn why motivation fades, why talent fails without structure, and why comfort quietly destroys potential. You will hear how disciplined people think, how they manage time, how they control their focus, and how they stay consistent when others quit. This is not theory. It is a framework for winning in real life. The goal of this book is simple: to help you build discipline that lasts, not for a week, not for a burst of effort, but as a permanent standard. If you are tired of starting and stopping, if you are tired of knowing what to do but not doing it, if you are tired of watching others pass you by, this book is for you. Discipline is the difference, and once you understand it, you cannot unsee it. Let us begin. Chapter 1. The gap between wanting and winning. Most people want to win. Very few people are willing to do what winning requires. This is where the gap begins. Wanting is easy, winning is earned. Every day, millions of people say they want more money, more freedom, more confidence, more control over their lives. They talk about it, they think about it, they imagine how good it would feel. Then life asks for effort, and most people stop right there. The gap between wanting and winning is not intelligence. It is not background. It is not opportunity. It is discipline. Wanting lives in the mind. Winning lives in behavior. You can want success with your whole heart and still never move forward, because wanting does not demand action. Discipline does. Think about how many people start strong. They begin a new routine, a new goal, a new promise to themselves. The first few days feel exciting. Energy is high. Confidence feels real. Then discomfort arrives. The alarm rings early. The work feels boring. Progress feels slow. This is the moment where most people fall back into wanting. They still want the result, but they stop doing the work. That is the gap. Winning requires crossing that gap every day. Not once, not when it feels good, but especially when it does not. Consider a simple example. Two people want better health. Both watch the same videos. Both understand what needs to be done. One wakes up early and trains. The other hits snooze and promises to start tomorrow. They wanted the same thing, but their behavior created different outcomes. Over time, that gap grows wider. One builds strength. The other builds excuses. This is how most lives quietly separate. The gap is not dramatic. It is subtle. It shows up in small choices. Do you act or delay? Do you prepare or procrastinate? Do you finish or quit halfway? Discipline is the decision to close that gap on purpose. Many people believe winning is about intensity. They think success comes from massive effort, once in a while. That belief is dangerous. Winning comes from controlled behavior repeated daily. It comes from showing up when no one is watching. It comes from doing simple things longer than others are willing to. Discipline does not shout. It whispers. It says, get up anyway. It says, do the work again. It says stay when quitting feels easier. Most people never train this skill. They wait for motivation to rescue them. They wait for confidence to arrive first. They wait for clarity before they move. Winners move first. Clarity follows action. This is where many people misunderstand discipline. Discipline is not punishment. It is not harshness. It is not forcing yourself to suffer. Discipline is self-respect in action. It is choosing long-term benefit over short-term relief. It is keeping promises to yourself. It is proving through behavior that your goals matter. When discipline becomes your standard, wanting loses power. You no longer ask how you feel. You ask what must be done. This shift changes everything. Imagine a person who wants to write a book. They talk about ideas. They plan covers. They imagine readers. But they never write consistently. Now imagine another person who writes 500 words a day, not inspired words, just honest work. After 1 year, the difference is clear. One is still wanting. The other has won. This pattern repeats everywhere, in business, in fitness, in learning, in personal growth. The gap never closes on its own. You must close it with behavior. Here is a simple truth. The distance between your current life and your desired life is measured in disciplined actions, not big actions, not heroic moments, daily actions. This chapter is not meant to discourage you. It is meant to wake you up. Wanting is not the problem. Staying there is. You do not need more desire. You need structure. You need standards. You need discipline. Start by noticing the gap. Notice where you delay. Notice where you negotiate with yourself. Notice where comfort wins. Awareness comes first. Change follows awareness. Winning begins the moment you stop romanticizing results and start respecting process. Discipline is the bridge, and crossing it is a daily choice. In the next chapter, we will explore why motivation fails and why discipline never does. Chapter 2. Motivation fades, discipline remains. Motivation feels powerful. It feels exciting. It feels like the beginning of change. But motivation is unstable. It rises quickly, and it disappears just as fast. This is one of the biggest misunderstandings about success. Most people believe motivation is the key. They think if they feel inspired enough, they will finally act. That belief keeps them stuck. Motivation is emotional, and emotions are unreliable. They depend on mood, on energy, on circumstances. Some mornings you wake up ready to conquer the world. Other mornings you feel heavy and distracted. Life does not ask how motivated you are before demanding effort. This is where discipline becomes essential. Discipline does not depend on emotion. It depends on decision. Motivation asks, do I feel like doing this? Discipline asks, does this need to be done? That difference changes outcomes. Think about how people usually start a goal. They wait for a surge of inspiration. They watch something that excites them. They promise themselves this time will be different. For a short while it is. They work hard for a few days, maybe a week, sometimes even a month. Then the excitement fades. The work feels repetitive. Progress feels slow. Results feel distant. Motivation leaves quietly, and without discipline, progress stops. This cycle repeats over and over. New goal, new excitement, same ending. Discipline breaks this cycle. Discipline understands something. Motivation ignores. Success is not built in moments of excitement. It is built in moments of resistance. The days when you feel tired. The days when the work feels boring. The days when no one is encouraging you. Those days decide everything. The disciplined person does not wait to feel ready. They act because they decided in advance. This is why discipline must come before motivation. When you act consistently, motivation often follows. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates belief, not the other way around. Consider exercise. Most people say they will work out when they feel motivated. That day rarely comes. Disciplined people work out because it is scheduled, because it is part of who they are, not because they feel inspired. Over time, their results create motivation, but discipline created the habit first. This principle applies everywhere, in learning, in business, in personal development. Discipline removes negotiation. Negotiation is dangerous. Every time you debate with yourself, you weaken trust. You teach your mind that promises are flexible. You allow comfort to win. Discipline eliminates debate. You decide once, then you follow through. This does not mean discipline is easy. It means discipline is simple. Simple does not mean comfortable. It means clear. Clear standards reduce mental noise. Clear routines reduce friction. You no longer ask if you should act. You already decided. Most people fail because they decide every day. They decide again and again. And eventually they choose comfort. Discipline decides once. There is another reason motivation fails. Motivation loves outcomes. Discipline respects process. Motivation imagines the reward. Discipline commits to the work. When results take time, motivation becomes impatient. Discipline stays steady. This is why disciplined people appear calm under pressure. They are not relying on emotion. They are relying on systems. They trust their routine more than their feelings. You can train this. Discipline is a skill, not a personality trait. It grows through repetition. Start small, very small. One action, done daily, without excuses. Do it on good days. Do it on bad days. This builds internal trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, discipline strengthens. Every time you break one, it weakens. This is not about perfection. It is about direction. If you miss a day, return the next. No drama, no self-punishment. Discipline is calm. It does not shout. It simply continues. Motivation wants to feel good first. Discipline understands feeling good comes later. This chapter is an invitation to stop chasing motivation and start building discipline. When discipline becomes your foundation, motivation becomes optional, progress becomes predictable, and winning becomes possible. In the next chapter, we will confront the most comfortable enemy of all, comfort itself. Chapter 3. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Comfort feels harmless. It feels earned. It feels safe. That is why it is dangerous. Comfort does not announce itself as a problem. It presents itself as rest, as balance, as something you deserve, and slowly it stops progress. Most people do not fail because they try and lose. They fail because they settle. They settle into routines that require no effort. They settle into habits that demand no growth. They settle into lives that feel familiar but unfulfilled. Comfort creates that settling. Progress, on the other hand, demands friction. It demands tension. It demands effort in moments when comfort offers an easier option. This is where discipline becomes critical again. Comfort asks, why push today? Discipline asks, why stop now? Think about how comfort shows up in daily life. You plan to wake up early. Comfort whispers to stay in bed. You plan to work on your goal. Comfort suggests scrolling instead. You plan to push a little harder. Comfort says you have done enough. None of these moments feel like failure. They feel reasonable. That is the trap. Comfort rarely ruins lives in dramatic ways. It erodes them quietly. One skipped workout becomes a habit. One delayed task becomes a pattern. One excuse becomes a lifestyle. Over time, comfort becomes the standard. And once comfort becomes the standard, growth becomes optional. This is why progress feels uncomfortable, because it challenges what feels normal. Discomfort is not a sign of danger. It is often a sign of expansion. When muscles grow, they resist first. When skills develop, Confusion appears first. When confidence builds, fear shows up first. Comfort avoids all of this, but avoiding discomfort also avoids growth. Many people say they want change. Few are willing to change their comfort level. They want new results with old habits. They want progress without pressure. They want winning without strain. That combination does not exist. Progress requires leaving what feels easy. This does not mean you must live in constant struggle. It means you must stop letting comfort make decisions. There is a difference between rest and avoidance. Rest restores you. Avoidance weakens you. Comfort often disguises avoidance as rest. You tell yourself you will start tomorrow. You tell yourself you need more time. You tell yourself now is not ideal. Comfort loves delay. Discipline sees through it. Discipline understands that action creates energy, not the other way around. Waiting until things feel comfortable usually means waiting forever. Look at any area where people succeed. Athletes train beyond comfort. Entrepreneurs operate in uncertainty. Leaders make decisions without guarantees. They do not enjoy discomfort. They accept it. They understand something most people avoid. Comfort is a reward, not a starting point. You earn comfort after effort, not before it. When comfort comes first, progress stops. This is why discipline must be practiced deliberately. You must choose discomfort in controlled ways. Wake up earlier than feels pleasant. Do the work before it feels urgent. Finish tasks when quitting feels tempting. These small decisions retrain the mind. They teach you that discomfort is survivable, that resistance is temporary, that progress follows effort. Comfort shrinks when you stop obeying it. This does not happen overnight. At first, discomfort feels loud. It feels heavy. It feels wrong. But repetition changes perception. What once felt difficult becomes normal. What once felt uncomfortable becomes familiar. This is how standards rise. Your comfort zone is not fixed. It expands when you challenge it. Every disciplined action pushes its boundary outward. Every avoided action pulls it inward. Most people protect comfort and sacrifice potential. Disciplined people protect potential and sacrifice comfort. That is the difference. Ask yourself an honest question. Where has comfort been making decisions for you? Not in dramatic ways, in small ways. The skipped effort, the delayed action, the easy option chosen repeatedly. Awareness is the first step. You do not need to eliminate comfort. You need to put it in its place. Comfort should follow progress, not replace it. When discipline leads, comfort becomes a reward. When comfort leads, discipline disappears. Progress demands friction. Growth demands strain. Winning demands effort beyond ease. In the next chapter, we will explore why so many people quit when this discomfort appears, and how discipline keeps you moving forward when quitting feels justified. Chapter 4. Why most people quit too early. Quitting rarely happens all at once. It happens quietly. It happens gradually. Most people do not wake up and decide to give up. They slowly lose commitment. They slowly lose patience. They slowly lose belief. And by the time they stop, quitting feels reasonable. This is why so many people quit too early. They mistake resistance for failure. They mistake slow progress for no progress. They mistake discomfort for a sign they are on the wrong path. In reality, these moments are signs they are exactly where growth begins. Every meaningful goal has a difficult middle. The beginning is exciting. The end is rewarding. The middle is silent. No praise, no visible results, no confirmation you are doing it right. This is where most people quit. They expect progress to feel good. They expect effort to be noticed. They expect results to arrive quickly. When those expectations are not met, doubt enters. They start asking dangerous questions. Is this worth it? Am I wasting my time? Should I try something else? These questions feel logical, but they are often asked too soon. Quitting early is rarely about ability. It is about impatience. People underestimate how long success takes, and they overestimate how fast results should appear. This creates frustration. Consider learning a new skill. At first, improvement feels obvious. Every practice session brings visible progress. Then growth slows. Improvement becomes subtle. Mistakes repeat. Confidence drops. Many people interpret this as failure. It is not. It is refinement. This stage is where skill deepens, where fundamentals strengthen, where mastery begins. But because progress is less visible, people leave. They quit just before the breakthrough. This pattern repeats everywhere. In fitness, people quit before their body adapts. In business, people quit before momentum builds. In personal growth, people quit before identity shifts. The problem is not effort. It is expectation. Most people expect linear progress. Real progress is uneven. It moves in waves. It stalls. It accelerates unexpectedly. Those who win understand this. Those who quit do not. Discipline is what keeps you moving during the quiet phases. Motivation may disappear. Comfort may tempt you. Doubt may grow louder. Discipline stays. It reminds you why you started. It anchors you when emotion fluctuates. It keeps you consistent when results lag behind effort. Quitting early also comes from comparison. People look around and see others moving faster. They see highlights. They see success stories. They forget that every visible win hides years of unseen work. Comparison steals patience. It convinces you that your pace is wrong, that your struggle means you are behind, that quitting is smarter than continuing. It is not. Your timeline is your own. Your path does not need validation. Another reason people quit early is the desire for certainty. They want guarantees. They want proof before commitment. They want assurance before sacrifice. But certainty only comes after consistency. You cannot demand evidence before effort. Discipline acts without guarantees. It understands that progress reveals itself through persistence, not prediction. Many people also quit because they attach emotion to outcomes. When results are good, they feel confident. Effort. When results slow, they feel discouraged. Their behavior follows emotion. Disciplined people reverse this relationship. Their emotion follows behavior. They act first. They commit first. They trust that confidence will catch up. This is a powerful shift. It removes the pressure to feel ready. It removes the need for perfect conditions. You move because you decided to move, not because it feels easy. There is another truth. Few people accept. Quitting early feels good in the short term. It relieves pressure. It reduces effort. It restores comfort. This relief is temporary. What follows is regret. Regret grows slowly. It shows up when you see what could have been. It shows up when you repeat the same cycle again. Discipline feels uncomfortable now. Regret feels heavy later. You must choose which discomfort you prefer. This chapter is not about pushing blindly. It is about staying long enough to see reality, staying long enough to learn, staying long enough to adapt, staying long enough to earn results. If you quit every time progress slows, you reset your growth repeatedly. You return to the beginning again and again. Winners stay through the boring parts, through the uncertain parts, through the parts no one talks about. They do not quit early. They quit excuses instead. If you are in a difficult phase right now, pause before walking away. Ask yourself a better question. Have I truly stayed long enough? Most people have not. Discipline gives you the patience to find out. In the next chapter, we will explore why small daily discipline always beats rare bursts of intensity. Chapter 5. Daily discipline beats rare intensity. Most people believe success comes from big effort. They believe winning requires dramatic action. They believe one powerful push can change everything. That belief sounds exciting. It is also misleading. Rare intensity feels productive. Daily discipline produces results. This chapter explains why consistency wins when intensity fades. Think about how people usually approach change. They wait for the perfect moment. They plan a massive shift. They promise themselves they will give it everything. For a short time they do. They work late. They push hard. They sacrifice sleep. They give maximum effort. Then life interrupts. Energy drops. Focus weakens. Momentum disappears. The intense phase ends, and nothing replaces it. This pattern is common. People confuse effort with effectiveness. They believe doing more once matters more than doing less consistently. In reality, success is built through repetition. Daily discipline creates stability. Rare intensity creates spikes. Spikes feel impressive, but they are unsustainable. Discipline builds quietly. It compounds over time. Consider physical fitness. Someone trains intensely for 2 weeks. They push their limits. They feel exhausted, but proud. Then they stop. Another person trains moderately every day. They do not push to extremes. They show up consistently. After months, the difference is clear. One burned out, the other built strength. Daily discipline respects the long game. It understands that growth happens through accumulation. Small actions add up. Simple habits compound. Rare intensity often ignores recovery. It ignores balance. It ignores sustainability. That is why it fails. Discipline asks a different question. What can I do today that I can repeat tomorrow? This question changes behavior. It shifts focus from excitement to reliability, from ambition to execution. Daily discipline lowers resistance. When an action is small, the mind resists less. When expectations are reasonable, consistency improves. This is how habits form. Most people aim too high too fast. They overload themselves. They create routines they cannot maintain. When they fail, they feel discouraged. They assume discipline is not for them. The truth is simpler. They chose intensity over consistency. Discipline is not about doing everything. It is about doing the right things repeatedly. 1 focused hour daily beats 10 chaotic hours once a week. 1 page written every day beats a burst of writing once a month. 1 disciplined choice made daily beats a motivational surge that fades. Daily discipline builds trust with yourself. Each completed action sends a message. I follow through. I keep promises. I can be relied on. This internal trust matters. Without it, confidence stays fragile. With it, confidence becomes stable. Rare intensity does not build trust. It builds pressure. Pressure leads to avoidance. Avoidance leads to inconsistency. Discipline removes pressure by setting clear limits. You do not need to do everything today. You need to do something meaningful today. That distinction reduces overwhelm. Another reason daily discipline wins is decision fatigue. When effort depends on mood, decisions multiply. Should I do it today? Do I have enough energy? Is now the right time? Each question drains focus. Daily discipline removes these questions. You already decided. The task is scheduled. The habit is defined. The action is expected. Less thinking, more doing. This is how professionals operate. They do not wait to feel inspired. They rely on structure. They respect routines because routines protect progress. Rare intensity feels heroic. Daily discipline feels ordinary. Winning is built on ordinary days. The days with no excitement. The days with no visible reward. The days where effort feels unnoticed. Those days matter most. This is where discipline separates winners from everyone else. Discipline understands something critical. You do not rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your habits. Strong habits create stability. Stability creates momentum. Momentum creates results. Daily discipline also teaches patience. It reminds you that growth is gradual, that progress is earned over time, that lasting change cannot be rushed. This mindset protects you from frustration. You stop expecting instant results. You stop measuring progress emotionally. You focus on completion, not perfection. This makes discipline sustainable. If you want to apply this immediately, start here. Choose one small action related to your goal. Make it non-negotiable. Do it daily, not when convenient, not when motivated. Daily. Track completion, not outcome. Success follows consistency. Over time, intensity becomes unnecessary. Momentum replaces effort. Discipline becomes automatic. This is how daily discipline wins. It does not impress. It does not demand attention. It simply works. In the next chapter, we will explore how discipline begins with identity, and why who you believe you are determines how consistently you act. Chapter 6. Discipline begins with identity. Discipline does not start with action. It starts with belief. Not belief in goals, belief in identity. Most people try to change what they do without changing who they think they are. This creates conflict, and conflict always drains consistency. You can force behavior for a short time. You cannot force identity for long. This is why discipline often collapses. People say, "I want to be disciplined," but their identity says, "I am not that type of person." The mind always follows identity. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you will act inconsistently. If you see yourself as someone who quits, quitting will feel natural. If you see yourself as disciplined, discipline becomes expected. This is not positive thinking. It is psychological alignment. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you believe you are. The problem is that most people let past behavior define identity. I have always been lazy. I never stick to things. I am bad at routines. These statements feel honest, but they are not facts. They are habits of self-description, and they are powerful. When identity is weak, discipline feels like force. When identity is strong, discipline feels like alignment. Consider two people facing the same task. One says, "I am trying to work out." The other says, "I am someone who trains." The difference is subtle. The result is not. Trying implies uncertainty. Identity implies commitment. When behavior matches identity, resistance drops. This is why discipline must be built from the inside out. Not by asking, "What should I do?" but by asking, "Who am I becoming?" Identity-based discipline works because it removes debate. You do not debate what aligns with who you are. You simply act. A disciplined person does not wake up and decide whether to follow their routine. They wake up and follow it because it is who they are. This is how discipline becomes stable. Most people rely on willpower. Willpower is limited. Identity is renewable. It strengthens with every aligned action. You build identity through evidence. Small actions done consistently send a clear message to the mind. This is who I am. One early morning wake-up does not change identity. 10 in a row start to. One completed task does not redefine you. Repeated follow-through does. Identity changes through proof. This is why daily discipline matters so much. It gives you frequent opportunities to reinforce who you are becoming. The mistake many people make is aiming for a perfect identity immediately. They try to become someone else overnight. That creates pressure. Pressure creates resistance. Identity is built gradually. You do not need to become disciplined. You need to act like a disciplined person once today, then again tomorrow. Let identity catch up to behavior. Another key truth is this. You will always act in ways that protect your identity. If your identity is tied to comfort, discipline feels threatening. If your identity is tied to growth, discipline feels natural. This explains why change feels uncomfortable. Discipline challenges the old version of you. It forces a shift in self-image. The old identity resists. It says, "This is not you." It says, "You never do this." It says, "Why try now?" That voice is not truth. It is familiarity. Discipline requires you to disappoint the old version of yourself. This is uncomfortable, but necessary. You cannot become someone new without letting something old go. This does not mean rejecting your past. It means refusing to live in it. You are not your history. You are your direction. Identity also shapes standards. Standards define what you tolerate. A disciplined identity raises standards automatically. You stop negotiating basic commitments. You stop excusing repeated failure. You stop lowering expectations to avoid discomfort. Not because you are harsh, but because you respect yourself. Discipline rooted in identity is not aggressive. It is calm. It does not rely on hype. It relies on self-trust. This is important for long-term success. Motivation fluctuates. Systems help, but identity anchors everything. When life becomes chaotic, identity holds. When routines break, identity guides recovery. You return to discipline not because you feel guilty, but because it feels like home. To apply this, start with language. How you speak about yourself matters. Stop saying, "I am trying." Start saying, "I am becoming." Stop saying, "I should." Start saying, "I do." Language shapes perception. Perception shapes behavior. Next, choose identity-based habits. Ask yourself this question: what would a disciplined person do today? Then do the smallest version of that. Not the perfect version, the honest version. One action, completed fully. This is enough to begin identity change. Over time, discipline stops feeling like effort. It starts feeling like integrity. You are no longer forcing yourself to act. You are honoring who you are becoming. This is where discipline becomes powerful, not because it is strict, but because it is aligned. In the next chapter, we will explore how disciplined people control their time, and why time discipline determines who wins and who stays stuck. Chapter 7. The Discipline of Time Control. Time does not disappear, it gets spent. Every person has the same 24 hours. The difference is not time itself. The difference is control. Most people feel busy. Few people feel intentional. This chapter explains why discipline over time decides progress. Time control is not about doing more. It is about choosing better. Undisciplined time feels reactive. You respond to messages. You react to problems. You move from one task to another. At the end of the day, you feel tired, but not accomplished. Disciplined time feels directed. You decide what matters first. You protect key hours. You act before distractions appear. This shift changes everything. Time is the most honest mirror of discipline. You can say something matters, but how you spend time reveals the truth. Many people confuse activity with progress. They stay busy to avoid discomfort. They fill time to feel productive. They avoid focused effort because it requires concentration. Busyness feels safe. Focus feels demanding. Discipline chooses focus. Focused time produces results faster than scattered effort ever will. This is why winners guard their time. They do not let urgency override importance. They do not let noise replace priority. They understand that attention is limited. When attention is wasted, progress slows. One of the biggest threats to time discipline is distraction. Distraction feels small, but it multiplies quickly. A few minutes here, a few minutes there. Soon, hours are gone. Not stolen, given away. Discipline over time starts with awareness. Notice where time leaks. Notice patterns. Notice habits that consume energy without creating value. This is not about guilt. It is about clarity. You cannot control what you do not observe. The next step is intention. Intentional time requires decisions made in advance. When will you work? What will you work on? How long will you focus? Without these decisions, time defaults to comfort. Comfort fills empty space. Discipline fills it with structure. Structure is not restriction. It is protection. It protects your priorities from interruption. It protects your energy from chaos. This is why routines matter. A routine removes choice. You do not decide every day when to act. You follow a plan. This reduces friction. It also builds consistency. Consistency compounds faster than effort. Another key element of time discipline is saying no. This is difficult. Saying yes feels generous. Saying no feels uncomfortable. But every yes costs time, and time is finite. Disciplined people say no more often, not because they care less, but because they care deeply about what matters. They understand that overcommitment leads to underperformance. You cannot do everything well. Time discipline also requires realistic planning. Many people overload their schedules. They underestimate how long tasks take. They create pressure they cannot sustain. This leads to frustration. Discipline respects capacity. It plans with honesty. It allows space for recovery. It balances effort with rest. Rest is part of time discipline, not its enemy. Rest done intentionally restores energy. Rest done accidentally wastes time. There is a difference. Disciplined rest is planned. Undisciplined rest is avoidance. This distinction matters. Another mistake people make is waiting for large blocks of time. They believe progress requires long, uninterrupted hours. That belief delays action. Time discipline uses what is available. 15 focused minutes beats 1 distracted hour. Progress does not require perfect conditions. It requires presence. Time discipline also protects mornings. Mornings shape the day. When the day begins with reaction, control is lost early. When the day begins with intention, focus lasts longer. This is why many disciplined people work on important tasks early. They act before the world interrupts. Time control is not about rigid schedules. It is about clear priorities. You can be flexible without being careless. Discipline allows adjustment, not abandonment. If a day breaks, return the next. No drama, no guilt. Time discipline is not about control for its own sake. It is about freedom. When you control time, you reduce stress, you reduce regret, you reduce last-minute pressure. You create space for what matters. Ask yourself an honest question. Where does your time go when you are not paying attention? That answer reveals where discipline is needed most. Start small. Protect 1 hour a day. 1 focused block. No distractions. Use it for your highest priority. Do this consistently. Over time, time discipline becomes natural. You stop reacting. You start directing. This is how progress accelerates. In the next chapter, we will explore discipline in the mind and how controlling thoughts determines consistency and resilience. Chapter 8. Discipline in the mind. Every action begins in the mind. Before you move, you think. Before you quit, you decide. This is why mental discipline matters more than physical effort. You can have strong routines and clear plans, but if the mind is undisciplined, consistency will break. Most people believe discipline is about controlling behavior. In reality, it is about directing thoughts. Thoughts create emotion. Emotion influences action. Action creates results. If thoughts are chaotic, behavior becomes unstable. Mental discipline is the ability to guide your inner voice, not silence it, not fight it, guide it. The mind speaks constantly. It comments, it questions, it warns. Some of this is useful, much of it is noise. Undisciplined minds react to every thought. Disciplined minds observe and choose. This is a critical distinction. A thought appears. I am tired. I do not feel like doing this. This is not working. Most people accept the thought as truth. They follow it. Disciplined people pause. They recognize a thought is not a command. It is information. Not every thought deserves obedience. Mental discipline is the skill of separation. You are not your thoughts. You are the one listening. This separation creates control. Without it, the mind leads. With it, you lead. Many people struggle with discipline because they argue with their thoughts. They debate. They negotiate. They explain. This drains energy. Mental discipline does not argue. It redirects. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this?" it asks, "What is the next action?" This keeps momentum alive. Another challenge of the undisciplined mind is negativity bias. The mind is wired to notice problems. It focuses on risk. It highlights discomfort. This is natural, but unchecked, it becomes destructive. Negative thoughts repeat easily. Positive ones require intention. Mental discipline trains repetition. What you repeat mentally becomes familiar. What becomes familiar feels true. This is why self-talk matters. If you constantly tell yourself that you are behind, you will act rushed. If you tell yourself you always fail, quitting will feel logical. Disciplined minds choose language carefully. They do not lie to themselves. They also do not attack themselves. They use neutral, grounded language. This is difficult but manageable. I can take the next step. Progress is slow, not absent. These thoughts create stability. Another key part of mental discipline is emotional regulation. Emotions are signals. They are not instructions. Feeling tired does not mean stop. Feeling bored does not mean quit. Feeling frustrated does not mean failure. Undisciplined minds react emotionally. Disciplined minds respond intentionally. This does not mean ignoring emotion. It means not letting emotion decide behavior. This skill is learned through repetition. You notice emotion. You acknowledge it. You act anyway. Over time, the mind learns that emotion does not control outcome. This builds resilience. Mental discipline also protects focus. Focus is fragile. It breaks under distraction. It weakens with overload. Most people multitask. They think it saves time. It does not. It fractures attention. A disciplined mind does one thing at a time, fully, intentionally. This deep focus reduces mental fatigue. When the mind is scattered, discipline feels exhausting. Steady when the mind is focused. Discipline feels lighter. Another mental trap is future projection. The mind jumps ahead. This will take too long. This might fail. This is not worth it. These thoughts create overwhelm. Mental discipline brings attention back to the present. What can be done now? Not later. Not perfectly. Now progress happens in the present moment, not in imagined futures. This is why disciplined people stay calm under pressure. They do not carry the weight of the entire journey. They carry the next step. Mental discipline also involves reducing decision load. Too many choices exhaust the mind. This is why routines matter mentally, not just practically. When decisions are removed, mental energy is preserved. You do not think about what to do. You execute. This creates clarity. Clarity reduces stress. Reduced stress improves consistency. Mental discipline also requires boundaries, not external ones only, internal ones. You must limit exposure to unnecessary noise. Constant information creates mental clutter. Clutter weakens focus. Disciplined minds consume selectively. They protect attention like a resource, because it is one. Another important element is recovery. The mind needs rest. It's not distraction, not avoidance. True rest. Mental discipline includes knowing when to stop, knowing when to reset. Burnout is not a badge of honor. It is a sign of imbalance. Steady, disciplined minds respect sustainability. Steady, they aim for long-term clarity. not short-term pressure. One of the most powerful mental discipline practices is reflection, not overthinking, not rumination, reflection, brief review, what worked, what did not. This builds awareness. Awareness strengthens control. Without reflection, mistakes repeat. With reflection, learning accelerates. Mental discipline is not about being rigid. It is about being steady. Steady through emotion, steady through doubt, steady through slow progress. This steadiness creates confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet confidence, the kind that does not need validation. To build mental discipline, start simple. Notice your thoughts during resistance. Name them, then choose action anyway. This small pause changes everything. Over time, the mind learns a new pattern. Thoughts suggest, you decide. This is discipline in its purest form. Not force, not pressure. Leadership of the self. In the next chapter, we will explore the pain of discipline versus the pain of regret, and why avoiding short-term discomfort creates long-term cost. Chapter 9. The pain of discipline versus the pain of regret. Pain is unavoidable. No one escapes it. The only choice you have is which pain you will live with. This is a truth most people avoid. They spend their lives trying to avoid discomfort. They choose ease. They choose delay. They choose comfort. What they do not realize is that avoiding pain now creates a heavier pain later. That pain is regret. The pain of discipline is immediate. It shows up early. It demands effort. The pain of regret is delayed. It shows up quietly. It stays longer. Discipline hurts now. Regret hurts forever. Most people choose based on what feels better in the moment. Skipping the work feels relieving. Delaying the effort feels safe. Quitting feels like peace. At first, but that relief is temporary. Regret grows slowly. It builds in the background. It waits. It appears when you look back. When you see what could have been. When you realize time is gone. Regret is not loud at first. It whispers, if only I had stayed consistent. If only I had tried longer. If only I had not quit. These thoughts are heavy. The pain of discipline is different. It feels sharp. It feels demanding. It requires sacrifice. But it has an end. Once the effort is done, relief follows. Once the habit is built, resistance fades. Once progress appears, confidence grows. Discipline hurts briefly. Regret hurts repeatedly. Consider someone who avoids difficult conversations. They stay silent to keep peace. They avoid conflict to stay comfortable. In the moment, it feels easier. Over time, resentment builds. Opportunities are lost. Self-respect weakens. That is regret. Now consider someone who speaks honestly. It feels uncomfortable. It feels risky. But clarity follows. Growth follows. Respect follows. That is discipline. Both paths involve pain. One leads forward. The other traps you in the past. This pattern exists everywhere. In health, discipline is waking up early to train. Regret is watching your energy fade over years. In finances, discipline is saying no today. Regret is living with stress tomorrow. In personal growth, discipline is staying consistent when bored. Regret is knowing you quit too soon. People often say they fear failure. What they truly fear is discomfort. They confuse the two. Failure teaches. Discomfort strengthens. Regret does neither. Regret only reminds. Another reason people avoid discipline is because the pain feels personal. It feels like self-denial. It feels like pressure. Regret feels passive. It feels like something that happened to you. This illusion makes regret easier to accept. But regret is not passive. It is the result of repeated choices. Small choices. Ignored choices. Discipline asks for responsibility. Regret assigns blame. Regret says, I wish I had. One creates control. The other creates helplessness. This is why disciplined people appear calm. They accept discomfort as part of the process. They do not dramatize it. They expect it. They understand that discomfort is temporary. They also understand that regret compounds. One regret leads to another. One missed opportunity makes the next easier to miss. Over time, regret becomes a pattern. Discipline breaks patterns. Discipline is not about being hard on yourself. It is about being honest with yourself. Honest about what effort costs. Honest about what avoidance creates. This honesty builds strength. Another important distinction is timing. The pain of discipline is predictable. You know when it will happen. The pain of regret is unpredictable. It shows up unexpectedly, in quiet moments, in reflective moments, in moments when it is too late to change. This unpredictability makes regret heavier. Discipline gives you agency. Even when it hurts, you are in control. Regret removes control. You replay the past. You wish for different choices. You feel powerless. This emotional weight is exhausting. Many people carry regret quietly. They smile. They function. But underneath they know where they compromised. They know where they chose comfort over courage. Discipline prevents this burden. It does not guarantee success, but it guarantees self-respect. And self-respect changes everything. When you respect yourself, effort feels meaningful. When you respect yourself, pain feels purposeful. Regret has no purpose. It only points backward. Discipline points forward. You do not need to eliminate pain from your life. You need to choose the right kind. Short-term discomfort, long-term freedom, short-term effort, long-term pride. This is the trade. Ask yourself a simple question. Which pain am I choosing today? The pain of doing the work, or the pain of wishing I had? Every disciplined action is a vote against regret. Every avoided action is a vote for it. You cast these votes daily, often without noticing. Notice now. Choose wisely. In the next chapter, we will explore why talent without discipline fails, and why discipline consistently outperforms natural ability over time. Chapter 10. Why talent without discipline fails. Talent is impressive. It gets attention early. It creates expectations. But talent alone does not last. This is a hard truth. Many people discover too late. Talent opens doors. Discipline keeps them open. Without discipline, talent becomes wasted potential. Most people admire talent because it looks effortless. They see quick learning. They see natural ability. They see early success. What they do not see is what happens next. Talent often creates comfort too early. When things come easily, effort feels optional. When progress is fast, discipline feels unnecessary. This is where failure begins. Talented people often rely on ability instead of structure. They skip fundamentals. They avoid repetition. They resist routine. At first, this works. They outperform others with less effort. They receive praise. They feel confident. Then the environment changes. The competition increases. The challenges become harder. The margin for error shrinks. Talent alone is no longer enough. This is the moment disciplined people catch up and often pass. Discipline thrives when things get difficult. Talent struggles when ease disappears. This pattern repeats across every field. In sports, talented athletes dominate early levels. At higher levels, everyone is talented. What separates winners is preparation, consistency, recovery, mental control, all products of discipline. In business, talented thinkers generate ideas easily. Disciplined builders execute them daily. Ideas without execution fade. Execution without talent still progresses. In creative work, talent produces inspiration. Discipline produces output. Finished work always beats potential work. Many talented people struggle with boredom. They enjoy novelty. They enjoy learning. They enjoy starting. Discipline requires staying. Staying when learning slows. Staying when progress plateaus. Staying when repetition replaces excitement. This feels uncomfortable for the talented mind. Talent loves stimulation. Discipline accepts repetition. Without discipline, talent becomes restless. It jumps from project to project, from interest to interest, from goal to goal. Nothing is finished. Nothing is sustained. This leads to frustration. Talented people often feel misunderstood. They know what they are capable of. They know what they could achieve, but knowing is not doing. And this gap creates internal conflict. They blame circumstances. They blame timing. They blame lack of opportunity. Rarely do they blame lack of discipline. Discipline is uncomfortable for talent because it removes excuses. It demands structure. It demands humility. It demands patience. Discipline asks the talented person to train like a beginner, to repeat basics, to follow routines, to accept slow progress. This feels unnecessary at first, until it becomes essential. Another reason talent fails without discipline is ego. Early success inflates confidence. Confidence turns into entitlement. I should not have to work this hard. I am better than this. I will figure it out later. Later never comes. Discipline keeps ego in check. It reminds you that results are earned daily, not gifted permanently. Talent may give you a head start. Discipline determines the finish. There is also a hidden danger. Talent hides weakness. When you rely on ability, you avoid testing limits. You avoid failure. You avoid exposure. Discipline seeks weakness. It identifies gaps. It strengthens fundamentals. It prepares for pressure. This preparation is what sustains performance. Under pressure, talent alone collapses. Discipline holds. Another key difference is recovery. Talented people often push when inspired and rest when bored. Disciplined people manage energy intentionally. They rest on schedule. They train on schedule. They protect longevity. Longevity matters. Short bursts of brilliance do not create lasting success. Years of consistent performance do. Discipline builds careers. Talent creates moments. Moments fade. Careers remain. This does not mean talent is useless. Talent is an advantage. When paired with discipline, it becomes powerful. But without discipline, talent becomes a liability. It creates false confidence. It delays learning discipline. It increases the fall when things stop working. Some of the most successful people were not the most talented. They were the most consistent, the most prepared, the most disciplined. They showed up every day. They trained fundamentals. They respected process. Over time, their skills surpassed raw talent. This is encouraging. It means you are not limited by what you were born with. You are shaped by what you practice. Discipline levels the field. It allows average ability to produce extraordinary results. It allows effort to compound. It allows growth to continue. Talent peaks early without discipline. Discipline peaks later and lasts longer. Ask yourself an honest question. Have you been relying on potential instead of practice? Potential feels good. Practice feels demanding. But only one produces results. If you are talented, discipline will unlock your full capacity. If you are not, discipline will still take you further than talent ever could. This chapter is not an attack on talent. It is a warning. Talent is fragile without discipline. Discipline is durable without talent. Choose durability. In the next chapter, we will explore how simple systems make discipline automatic and why structure beats willpower every time. Chapter 11. Building discipline through simple systems. Discipline fails when it relies on willpower alone. Willpower is limited. Systems are not. This chapter explains why disciplined people build systems instead of depending on motivation or mood. A system is a planned way of acting. It removes guesswork. It reduces effort. When systems are in place, discipline becomes automatic. Most people try to rely on strength of character. They tell themselves to try harder. They promise to push more. This works briefly, then it collapses. Not because they are weak, but because they are unstructured. Discipline without systems is fragile. Systems support discipline when energy is low, when focus is poor, when life becomes chaotic. This is their power. A simple system answers 3 questions. What will I do? When will I do it? Where will I do it? Once these are answered, resistance drops. The mind resists uncertainty. It relaxes around clarity. This is why simple systems work. They reduce decisions. Decision-making drains mental energy. Every choice costs focus. What should I work on now? When should I start? How long should I continue? Without systems, these questions repeat daily. With systems, they disappear. You already know the answer. This frees energy for execution. Many people overcomplicate systems. They create complex plans. They track too much. They aim for perfection. Complex systems break easily. Simple systems last. A system should feel almost boring. Boring means repeatable. Repeatable means consistent. Consistency creates results. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not need motivation. You do not debate timing. You do not question value. The system exists. You follow it. Discipline works the same way. You want your key habits to feel normal, not dramatic. This requires reducing friction. Friction is anything that makes action harder. Unclear goals create friction. Messy environments create friction. Undefined schedules create friction. Systems remove friction intentionally. For example, if you want to write daily, a simple system might be this. Write for 20 minutes, every morning, at the same desk. That is it. No word count, no pressure, no decision. Just show up. Showing up repeatedly builds identity. Identity reinforces discipline. Another example is fitness. Instead of chasing perfect routines, train at the same time, use the same plan, track completion only. This removes emotional fluctuation. You do not train because you feel good. You train because it is scheduled. Systems protect you from yourself. They protect you from excuses, from mood swings, from overthinking. They create guardrails. When life gets busy, systems hold. This is especially important during stress. Stress reduces cognitive capacity. When overwhelmed, people abandon discipline. Systems reduce the load. You follow the process, not emotion. Another key advantage of systems is recovery. When you miss a day, systems guide return. You do not spiral. You do not judge. You resume the next scheduled action. This prevents all or nothing thinking. Many people quit because they break a streak. They feel failure. They stop completely. Systems remove this drama. They expect imperfection. They are designed for real life. A system does not say never miss. It says never quit. This distinction matters. Simple systems also create feedback. You can see patterns. You can adjust calmly. Without systems, everything feels random. With systems, progress becomes visible. Another benefit is reduced reliance on discipline over time. At first, discipline is required to follow the system. Later, the system carries discipline. This is how habits form. Habit is discipline on autopilot. This is the goal. You do not want to be constantly forcing yourself. You want to design behavior that runs without effort. Systems also protect long-term energy. When expectations are realistic, burnout decreases. Discipline should be sustainable, not heroic. Heroic effort leads to exhaustion. Sustainable systems lead to longevity. This is how professionals operate. They do not push randomly. They follow structure. Structure creates freedom. Freedom from indecision. Freedom from inconsistency. Freedom from self-doubt. To build your own systems, start small. Choose one habit. Define time and place. Set a minimum action. The minimum matters. A minimum action ensures continuity. Even on bad days, you can complete it. Completion maintains identity. Identity sustains discipline. Once consistency is stable, you can expand. Do not expand before stability. That mistake ruins many systems. Another important element is environment. Your environment should support your system. Place tools where they are easy to access. Remove distractions where focus is required. Environment shapes behavior more than intention. This is not weakness. It is reality. Design for success. Finally, review your systems occasionally, not daily, not emotionally. Calm review. What works? What feels heavy? What can be simplified? Refinement keeps systems alive. The goal is not control. The goal is flow. When systems work, discipline feels lighter. You stop pushing. You start moving naturally. This is how discipline becomes part of life. Not a battle, a structure. In the next chapter, we will explore discipline when no one is watching, and why private consistency determines long-term success. Chapter 12. Discipline. When no one is watching, the truest form of discipline is invisible. It happens in private. It happens when no one is clapping, when no one is checking, when no one would know if you stopped. This is where real discipline is built. Public effort is easy. Private effort is rare. Most people perform well when they are seen. They work harder when someone is watching. They stay consistent when accountability exists. But when attention disappears, so does effort. This is why progress stalls. Discipline that depends on visibility is fragile. Discipline that survives in silence is powerful. What you do alone defines who you become. When no one is watching, excuses feel safer. Delays feel harmless. Skipping effort feels justified. There is no immediate consequence. No judgment. No feedback. Only choice. This is where character shows. Many people believe discipline is about external pressure, deadlines, rules, expectations. Those can help, but they are temporary. Lasting discipline is internal. It comes from personal standards, not external approval. Standards answer a simple question. What do I expect from myself, even when no one else does? Most people lower standards in private. They relax rules. They bend commitments. They tell themselves it does not matter. These moments seem small, but they accumulate. Over time, private shortcuts become public results. Weak discipline in private leads to disappointment. Later, strong discipline in private leads to quiet confidence. This confidence is different. It does not need praise. It does not depend on recognition. It comes from knowing you did the work. Consider two people with the same goal. Both show up when others are present. Both perform well in public. One stays consistent in private. The other relaxes when alone. At first they look the same. Over time the difference becomes obvious. Private discipline compounds faster. It builds skill. It builds trust. It builds identity. Public effort creates image. Private effort creates ability. This is why discipline when no one is watching matters more than any other form. It removes shortcuts. It forces honesty. You cannot pretend in private. You either act or you do not. There is no performance, only truth. Many people struggle here because private effort feels lonely. There is no feedback loop, no instant reward. The brain likes recognition. It likes validation. Discipline asks you to work without it. This is uncomfortable, but this discomfort builds strength. It teaches you to rely on standards, not applause. Over time, this changes how you approach everything. You stop needing someone to push you. You stop waiting for reminders. You stop depending on motivation. You act because it is who you are. This is powerful. Discipline in private also builds integrity. Integrity is alignment between values and behavior, not when it is easy, when it is inconvenient. Every private decision strengthens or weakens this alignment. Each time you follow through alone, integrity grows. Each time you cut corners, it shrinks. Integrity affects confidence. When integrity is strong, confidence is calm. When integrity is weak, confidence is unstable. This is why some people appear confident, but crumble under pressure. They know their foundation is weak. Private discipline creates a solid foundation. Another challenge of private discipline is boredom. Without variety, without excitement, without attention. This is where many people drift. They tell themselves they will be more disciplined later, when it matters, when it is visible. This logic is flawed. Discipline is not a switch you turn on for important moments. It is a habit built through repetition. You do not suddenly become disciplined under pressure. You default to what you practiced in private. Private discipline trains your response. It prepares you for public challenges. This is why winners train alone. They rehearse, they refine, they repeat basics. By the time performance matters, discipline is already automatic. Another benefit of private discipline is reduced anxiety. When you know you did the work, fear decreases. You trust your preparation. You trust your systems. You trust yourself. This trust cannot be faked. It is earned in silence. Private discipline also simplifies decisions. When standards are clear, choice disappears. You do not ask if you should act. You already know. This clarity saves energy. Energy saved can be invested in progress. To strengthen private discipline, start with honesty. Notice what you do when no one is watching. Not with judgment, with awareness. Awareness creates choice. Next, define non-negotiables. 1 or 2 behaviors that happen regardless of mood. Small behaviors, repeatable behaviors. These become anchors. Do not aim for perfection. Aim for consistency. Consistency in private is more valuable than intensity in public. Also, remove unnecessary temptation. Private discipline is easier when the environment supports it. Reduce friction where possible. Increase friction where avoidance lives. Design matters. Finally, respect your effort. You may not receive praise. You may not see results immediately. That does not mean the work is wasted. Every disciplined action leaves a mark, even when unseen. Especially when unseen. This chapter is about ownership. Ownership of standards. Ownership of effort. Ownership of results. When no one is watching, you are free. Free to quit. Free to delay. Free to compromise. Or free to build something real. Choose wisely, because eventually, results will appear. And when they do, people will call it talent, or luck, or timing. You will know the truth. It was discipline. Chapter 13. The Long Game Mindset. Most people think short-term. They live in days and weeks. They judge progress too quickly. This mindset limits everything. Winning requires long-term thinking. The long game mindset is the ability to stay committed beyond excitement, beyond early results, beyond temporary emotion. It is the discipline of patience. Most people quit, not because something is impossible, but because it takes longer than expected. They underestimate time. They overestimate speed. This creates frustration. The long game mindset corrects this. It understands a simple truth. Anything meaningful takes time. Real change is slow at first, uncomfortable in the middle, obvious at the end, but most people never reach the end. They abandon the process while it is still invisible. This is why discipline must be paired with patience. Discipline keeps you moving. Patience keeps you grounded. Without patience, discipline turns into pressure. Pressure leads to burnout. The long game mindset removes urgency, not urgency to act, urgency to see results. This distinction matters. You act daily, but you judge progress over months and years. This protects motivation. It also protects confidence. People who think short-term interpret every setback as failure. Every slow week feels like regression. Every delay feels personal. Long-game thinkers expect fluctuation. They understand that progress is uneven, that effort compounds quietly, that results often arrive suddenly after long preparation. This mindset reduces emotional swings. You stop celebrating too early. You stop panicking too fast. You stay steady. Steadiness is rare and valuable. The long-game mindset also changes how you define success. Short-term thinking asks, did it work? Long-term thinking asks, am I improving? Improvement is always available. Success is not always immediate. This shift keeps you consistent. Another benefit of long-term thinking is reduced comparison. When you play the long game, other people's pace matters less. You stop racing. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop copying surface-level results. You focus on depth. Depth builds durability. Durable success lasts. Fragile success collapses. The long game mindset favors systems over moments. Moments are exciting. Systems are reliable. This mindset values habits more than outcomes. Outcomes fluctuate. Habits stabilize. Stability wins. Long-term thinkers also understand delayed gratification. They accept effort without immediate reward. They invest without instant return. This is difficult. The brain prefers quick feedback. Discipline trains you to wait. Waiting does not mean inactivity. It means trust in process. Trust built on repetition. Another critical element of the long game mindset is identity protection. You do not abandon who you are becoming because of a bad week. You do not rewrite your story after one setback. You zoom out. You ask better questions. How does this fit into the bigger picture? What can I learn? What adjustment is needed? This prevents emotional decision-making. Most mistakes come from impatience. People change plans too often. They restart too frequently. They abandon progress repeatedly. This resets growth. The long game mindset reduces resets. You stay the course long enough to benefit from compounding. Compounding is quiet. It does not announce itself daily. It shows up after consistency. This is true in skill building, in health, in finances, in personal growth. Small improvements repeated daily create massive difference over time, but only if you stay. Another advantage of long-term thinking is resilience. When difficulty appears, you do not panic. You expect it. Difficulty becomes part of the plan. This reduces fear. Fear often comes from unrealistic expectations. When you expect ease, struggle feels wrong. When you expect challenge, struggle feels normal. Normal struggle does not stop you. It strengthens you. Long-game thinkers are hard to discourage. They measure progress internally. They value effort. They respect time. They do not rush growth. They do not chase quick validation. They build quietly. This is why they last. To develop the long-game mindset, start by changing your time horizon. Stop asking what will change this week. Start asking what will change this year. Stop demanding proof now. Start committing to consistency. Judge yourself by behavior, not results. Did you show up? Did you follow your system? Did you keep your standard? These questions build discipline. Another practical step is tracking streaks, not outcomes. Track days completed, not rewards achieved. Completion builds identity. Identity sustains patience. Also reduce exposure to shortcuts. Shortcut culture weakens long-term thinking. It creates false expectations. It promotes speed over substance. Protect your mindset. Choose examples that reflect patience and mastery, not overnight success stories. Remember this, the long game is not slow. It is steady. Steady beats fast when fast cannot last. You do not need to hurry. You need to continue. Time will pass anyway. The question is who you become while it does. Discipline plus patience creates inevitability. If you stay consistent long enough, results have no choice but to appear. In the next chapter, we will bring everything together and show why discipline is the final difference between those who win and those who never do. Chapter 14. Discipline is the difference. Every chapter in this book has pointed to one truth. Not talent, not luck, not motivation. Discipline is the difference. It is the quiet force behind every lasting result. It is the reason some people rise steadily while others circle the same starting line. Discipline does not announce itself. It does not demand recognition. It simply shows up, day after day. Most people search for a secret. They want a breakthrough moment. They want a single change that fixes everything. That moment rarely comes. What does come is choice. Repeated choice. The choice to act when comfort pulls you back. The choice to continue when progress feels slow. The choice to keep promises to yourself when no one is watching. That is discipline. Throughout this book, you have seen discipline from many angles, as the bridge between wanting and winning, as the anchor when motivation fades, as the enemy of comfort, as the reason people do not quit too early. You have seen how daily discipline outperforms rare intensity, how identity shapes consistency, how time control determines direction. You have learned that discipline in the mind creates resilience, that choosing the pain of discipline prevents the pain of regret, that talent fails without structure, that systems turn effort into habit. You have seen why private discipline matters most, and why the long game mindset separates those who last from those who rush and burn out. All of this leads here. Discipline is not one decision. It is a standard you live by, a standard you return to when things break, a standard that does not depend on emotion. Most people live by feeling. They act when it feels right. They stop when it feels hard. Disciplined people live by principle. They act because it aligns with who they are becoming. They continue because they decided to. This is the core difference. Discipline removes chaos. It replaces randomness with direction. Without discipline, effort scatters. With discipline, effort compounds. This compounding is invisible at first. It feels slow. It feels unimpressive. Then one day results appear, not suddenly, inevitably. This is why disciplined people look calm. They are not rushing outcomes. They are trusting process. They know something others forget. Time works for those who stay consistent, and against those who keep restarting. Discipline also builds self-respect. Every time you follow through, you reinforce trust with yourself. Every time you quit, that trust weakens. Over time, this trust shapes confidence. Not loud confidence, quiet certainty, the kind that does not need motivation, the kind that does not collapse under pressure. This confidence is earned, not imagined. Discipline earns it. It is important to understand this. Discipline will not make life easy. It will make life clear. Clear priorities, clear direction, clear standards. Clarity reduces stress. Stress often comes from indecision. When you know what you stand for, action becomes simpler. Discipline also creates freedom. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from regret. Freedom from living at the mercy of mood. When discipline leads, life feels lighter. Not because effort disappears, but because doubt does. You stop asking if you can do it. You focus on doing it. Many people wait for confidence before acting. Discipline acts first. Confidence follows. This is why discipline must be practiced before you feel ready. Readiness is a result, not a requirement. Discipline does not require perfection. You will miss days. You will make mistakes. You will lose momentum at times. What matters is returning without drama, without self-punishment, without quitting. Returning is discipline too. This book was not written to pressure you. It was written to ground you, to remove illusions, to replace hope with structure, to replace waiting with action. You do not need more information. You need alignment. Alignment between what you say matters and how you act daily. Discipline creates that alignment. It turns intention into behavior, behavior into habit, habit into identity, and identity shapes destiny. At this point the path is clear. You can continue as before, or you can choose a different standard, not a dramatic one, a disciplined one, one action, done daily, without negotiation. Let that action become normal. Let normal become automatic. Over time the results will speak for themselves, not loudly, but unmistakably. Discipline is the difference, not because it is extreme, but because it is consistent, not because it feels good, but because it works. If you carry one message forward, let it be this: you do not win by feeling ready. You win by showing up, again, and again, and again. That is discipline, and that is why most people never win.